So I know you very well, and most of us who are here know you very well. But we know you as a consultant in rehabilitation medicine. But what's your interest in evolution and related activities? How did you become interested in that?
Well, Rohan, when I was probably about 12 years ago in my school, one of our youth fellowship guys came and gave a talk on evolution, and that has been the back of my mind for a long time. I of course didn't sort of actively sort of research into that, but over the last 10 years or so, I have had this interest, and as you know, I gave a SLS talk several years ago, and during COVID, of course, we had a lot of time, and I thought, why not write a book? So that's how it came about.
That's wonderful. So the book was published. It's published by an international publisher. Is that correct? And the launch was last week or week before.
Yeah, the launch was on the 13th. It was published by Austin Macaulay International Publishers.
Okay, right. And where could we purchase the book? Because I usually get the electronic version because that's easy to get, and there wasn't anything available. They said the book, even if you order through Amazon, it will take about 4 or 5 weeks to get it.
Yeah, so the first lot of books have been sold off. Electronic version is now available. It wasn't available for a short time. It is now available. But the other option is just to put the ISBN number on Google, and it can be you can get it directly through the publishers, which will be quicker. Amazon, they say that it will be sometime mid-November.
Okay, thank you very much for that piece of information. So, as a doctor, I believe you're a scientific man with a scientific mind. When did you start to have suspicions of the theory of evolution, or do you still believe in that, or are you not contributing to that theory?
No, in fact, my one of my brothers is here. Maybe about 15 years ago, I was arguing for evolution, but gradually, when I started digging into it, I realized that it's not workable. So yes, earlier I was on the side of evolution.
Okay. I believe you have a very strong background of being a Christian. Is that correct? Because I know you from
I
my
have
youth
got a
fellowship.
Christian background, but I won't say it very strong. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that should not deter
yeah,
you from saying whatever you are saying, because your talk today is not about religion. Your talk today
yeah,
is about scientific evidence. We need to specify that, isn't it? It's not about
yeah.
religion,
I
it's
think it's
about
important
science.
for the audience to know that it is a scientific talk rather than a religious talk. But it'll back up uh, the religious position.
Okay. Right. So it's going to be a very hot topic, hot potato, Dita. We all know that. We have listened to you in
Yeah.
the past, but certainly the stage is yours. Thank you very much.
Okay. Of you who are joining today, they are SLLS members, my friends, batchmates, school friends, and many others whom I may not know from Sri Lanka and Australia and maybe other parts of the world. Uh, Obviously, the timing of this talk is because I have just launched this book as we just discussed. And once again, I want to emphasize that this is not a religious talk, it is a scientific talk. So, intelligent design itself is not new concept at all. Then what it says is that the theory of intelligent design says that certain features of the universe and the living and of the living things are best explained by an intelligent cause, not an undirected process such as natural selection. In the States, one of their surveys they said about 1/3 of biologists support the concept of intelligent design. So it is not just one or two random people who think of intelligent design, but a significant minority at the moment. I will give more links into that last statement. So what I'm saying is universe as well as life is not a random occurrence, which when we discuss uh, this topic, three main things come into mind with regard to universe and life. One is it completely random or a chance occurrence? Or else, has it become perfect over billions of years, which could be called mindless natural process, and evolution and Darwinism is part of that? Or, as I suggest, is it purposefully built by an intelligent designer? These are the three main questions at the end of the day we need to discuss or come to some sort of agreement. Now, these are the topics I'm going to discuss today. Extent of the universe. How does it work? How does the earth function? How unique is life? How developed are humans? How do cells and DNA work? What about proteins? And is it all random or purpose built? As you see, this is a vast topic from universe down to cells and proteins. So I will be just touching on few points only, which I think are important. I want to start with this picture of a watch. As you say, it is an intricate design and lots of interlinked components, uh, interlocking wheels, and it serves a purpose at the end of the day, and that is an intelligent design. And if you find this watch by humans, if they go to Mars or any other planet, they have to say that this is not a random thing. This cannot be. This cannot come into existence randomly, and even over billions of years, that cannot come into existence randomly because of the nature of it. So, if you look at characteristics of intelligent design, the complex design is one, and you get interactive or dynamic components just like the wheels in a watch, and it's compact. And also, you generally don't see any unnecessary components. You don't see a scissor or a hammer in that in the watch or any other unnecessary component. And it's effective and it serves the purpose. So these are the characteristics of any intelligent design product. Now we'll look at the universe. There are billion, trillion stars like the sun in our universe. I'll repeat that number: billion, trillion, 10 into the power 21. We are part of Milky Way galaxy, and there are 100 billion galaxies in the universe, 10 into the power 11. In fact, there are more stars in the universe than the number of grains of sand in all the beaches of the world. There are more stars in the universe than the number of grains of sand in all the beaches in the world. So our sun is just a grain of sand. Our Milky Way itself has got 200 billion stars. And this is a picture from a Hubble's telescope. You can see, just like grains of sand. And we are somewhere, we are just a dot somewhere. And if you look at the Milky Way galaxy, there's a certain pattern to it. There's a spiral formation to the Milky Way galaxy, and our sun is just outside the spiral. I hope you can roughly recognize it. And the blue circle there is the area we see in the night sky. So we just see only a tiny fraction of the of Milky Way galaxy. And if we compare the size of the sun to a red blood cell, the size of our galaxy is the size of United States of America. So we are, once again, even within the Milky Way galaxy, we are just so tiny. And this formation of the Milky Way galaxy is vital for our existence. So when you look at the stars at night, we can assume that all those stars are essential for our survival, because it is the formation is important for the stability of the sun. So without those stars in the Milky Way galaxy, we won't be existing today. So all those stars we see in the sky are vital for our existence. Now, as compared to the sun, our Earth is tiny. You can fit 1.3 million Earths into the sun. And as you see, you can see the other planets. And our sun is also not massive compared to another planet called Arcturus. Our sun is also tiny. So I'm just trying to, I hope you understand the context of the size of our sun and our Earth, how small that is compared to what we see in the Milky Way galaxy and the universe. So how does the universe work? There are lots of physics happening in the universe. It's not there just without any laws. So I have listed the factors which ticks the universe. There are nuclear force, weak and strong, gravitational force, electromagnetic force, critical mass density. This mass is extremely finely tuned. If it's off by 0.0001% than what it is now, either the universe will collapse or expand rapidly. Then the other factors are velocity of light, age of the universe, distance between the galaxies. There's one factor I omitted there, the matter to antimatter ratio. This is a ratio which happened at the time of the Big Bang. Matter to antimatter is like positive and negative charge atoms. So they interact and they cancel out each other. But for some reason, the scientists have noticed that there's a difference of 1 out of 30 million. So there's a difference of 1 out of 30 million. And that difference of 1 is the reason why the universe is existing today, because all the others would have cancelled each other. So that's a very, very significant point which needs to be remembered. So what we see in the universe is so finely tuned. Stephen Hawking says the chances of all such factors working simultaneously is the chance of 10 into minus 60. You had to concentrate on these numbers, 10 into minus 60. In another way, if you ask a blind person to pick a correct stone from all the stones on earth, the chances of him achieving picking up this correct stone he will have a better chance than that. So these numbers are extremely tiny numbers. If you look at the universe and the solar system, if you look at the solar system, these are the planets. I'm sure many of you know. The Jupiter is huge compared to the Earth. And I'm sure many of you would have seen these diagrams. And I need to just mention few important things in this for life on Earth. So it is very important to look at the distance from the sun to the Earth. If the Earth was closer, there won't be any life on Earth. It would have been too hot. If the Earth was a bit far away, there won't be any life on Earth. It will be too cold. If the sun was larger, there won't be any life on Earth. And the Earth to the moon combination is extremely unique among many planets. And it's very rare to find this combination. And the moon has got a significant bearing on Earth's function. Moon controls the rotation of the Earth. So when the moon was formed, it has been said that Earth was rotating every 2.5 hours. But as you know, now it is 24 hours. So moon controls the rotation of the Earth. And if the moon was smaller, that effect will not be there. If the moon was larger, that effect will be different. So Earth-Moon axis is critical. The other diagram you see, Earth is tilted at an angle around 23 degrees. And this is vitally important. If the angle was, for example, 21 degrees, probably there won't be any life on Earth. If the angle was 25 degrees, probably there won't be any life on Earth, because it could have a huge impact on Earth and life. If you look at the core structure of the Earth, all these the dimensions of the core structure is once again vital. If we have got a very thin crust, and if the crust was thicker, there will not be any life on Earth. And also, if the core, which is I believe is nickel, is bigger or smaller, again, it will have a huge impact on the magnetic field of the Earth. So what I'm trying to say is that there are huge amount of factors needed for life on Earth. If you look at the Sun, Earth, Moon system for life support, just like the wheels in the watch, These factors are interactive factors. So I mentioned about size, location, proximities, surface gravity, magnetic field, orbital inclination, I mentioned, thickness of the crust, I mentioned, and oxygen nitrogen ratio 78% nitrogen 21. If that was slightly different, there won't be any life on Earth. Atmospheric electrical charge. Volcanic activity is important. We don't like volcanic activity, but that is important for mixing of materials on Earth. Uh, uh, I mentioned about the gravitation interaction with the moon. Jupiter distance. Jupiter distance is vital for the Earth and the effect of the Jupiter. Because of the high gravitational pull of the Jupiter, all the asteroids are are drawn towards Jupiter. So Jupiter is the biggest protector of the Earth. It says that if Jupiter wasn't there, Earth will be bombarded by about 10,000 asteroids a year. Again, meaning that life will not be possible. Cyanobacterium levels in the water is important. Characteristics, characteristics of water obviously is vital. Earth is the only planet uh, the water is existing in all three forms. Water is present in other some planets and moons, but uh, Earth is the only planet where water is existent in all three forms. And it is important that solid water floats, and which is again a very characteristic feature. Because of that, even if during winter time there is water underneath, meaning that fish and all the other species can survive. If it was the other way around, then we will not have fish and other creatures surviving during winter time or in Arctic conditions. So, all in all, there are about 200 known parameters needed to sustain life. Sorry, the total probability of all those factors coming together, as I said, they are not isolated factors, they are interactive factors. All those factors coming together, the probability is 10 into the power 99. Again, I want you to remember these numbers. So, life in universe, there are trillion planets in the universe. I said billion trillion stars, but trillion planets. So I hope you get the difference there. And with all the evidence so far, we haven't found any life anywhere else so far. Initially, many decades ago, some scientists said, if you have got the correct distance from the sun, and if there's water, based on a few factors, they thought 10 into the power, so 100 billion planets may support life. But now, so far, it is down to possible thousands. I'm saying possible. The problem is, as I alluded, we need 200 factors for life, not 3 or 4. So this is the reason why they haven't found life anywhere else. So NASA did a radio wave project. They have been doing the radio wave project for the last 50 years, and there is no evidence of life anywhere. There was a Reader's Digest article some time back, and the heading was, "Where is everyone? Where is everyone?" So, this is the reason I think life has not been found anywhere so far. programs like SETI, looking for extraterrestrial life, they have screened about 500,000 planets and no evidence of life. So, this is a very important slide. Uh, the natural distribution of anything is described as a bell-shaped curve. So if you look at the rainfall in countries, or how many waterfalls in a country, or intelligence of the people, all will fall in within a bell-shaped curve. So if you look at the green curve there, if we say that it is for intelligence, people like Einstein and Stephen Hawking will be at one end, and people with severe brain intellectual disability will be at the other end, but majority of the population will be in the middle. So if we apply that to all the trillions of planets, surely we should be seeing planets teeming with life. Why only our sun and the solar system has got life? Has it been selected for that? Because it doesn't fall within this natural bell-shaped curve. We should be seeing many other planets with life, which we don't actually. So coming on to evolution, so all the things which I said before is not about evolution. I'm coming on to evolution now. So evolution says that two processes, namely random mutations, which is the origin of information, and the other process is that these mutations are selected by nature. Genetic drift could also come into that, but that is not new information per se. So, if you describe evolution in another way, it's a chance, it's purposeless, blind forces of nature. We are made to believe that with no memory of the past and no vision for the future, the profitable features are accumulated one by one over millions of years, eventually stumbling into new structures and new species. So that is what evolution says, and um, and they have got only two mechanisms to explain all the processes in life, from subcellular to anatomical. All the processes have to be explained just by two mechanisms. And it says numerous successive slight modifications will bring change. When you look at evolution descriptions, they will describe few anatomical features, like such as changes in the beaks or digits or skin color. And evolution has been described using this. But life is not only that. There are subcellular mechanisms, cellular mechanisms, thousands of biochemistry, hormonal mechanisms, physiology, behavioral changes, biomechanics, cognition, so on and so forth, all are part of life. And all those have to be explained by these two mechanisms. Now, I want to look at physiology, marathon running. Now, um, the physiological mechanisms during marathon running, I just mention them. So when you start running, the body produces heat. It causes increased sweating, then it causes loss of fluid, then brain uh, secretes hormones, and it tells the kidneys to preserve water. And because of adrenaline, the heart rate increases, respiratory rate increases. We need a lot of energy, so the body tells the liver to give out more glucose, and that is the those are some of the things which happens when you do a marathon. Now, all those systems are in all of us, but we don't do marathons. It is quite possible for many, many generations. People may not be, or anyone in those generations could be doing any marathons, but these systems are there in case if we have to train and do a marathon. So, how are these physiological systems, which are not being used but still there, are selected? So there are lots of questions on how these things could be explained through these mechanisms. Evolution also has got no answers to origin of life so far. Evolution cannot be seen, cannot be experimented, and cannot be proved. I'm referring to microevolution. I'm referring to macroevolution. Microevolution could be seen, but not macroevolution. When you talk about macroevolution, it is it is evolution of one species to another. Microevolution is just like changes to a big. So when we look at, there's no, it cannot be proved, and hence it falls uh, outside science, and hence it is a belief. The the closest experiment, the closest experiment looking at evolution has been done. Someone called Linsky. He looked at E. coli, bacteria being single cellular organisms, they divide so quickly. And he looked at 70,000 generations over, I think it's still going on, at least over 13 years, as far as I know, which is equivalent to 3.5 million years of humans. If you look at 70 generations, it will take at least 3.5 million years of humans. What they saw was only changes to citrate metabolism. Hence, what they saw, it is only a microevolution change. There was no evidence of macroevolution. E. coli remained E. coli. So, even if a single cellular organism hasn't changed significantly after 70,000 generations, what are the chances of organisms with billions and trillions of cells changing? I'm sure many of you would see this tree of life. Of course, this is a simplified version. There are millions of species. As you see, the humans are at the top. And if you could go down, our great grandfathers, or if you go down thousands of great grandfathers or generations, we will come here, and then we will suddenly realize that a worm was our cousin. So that's what evolution says. And if you look at all these branching points, because we are at the top of this tree, at every branching point, we should be superior to the creatures along this line at these branching points. So I will discuss that bit later, but it is important for you to recognize that point. So I'm going to discuss many problems with evolution. There is a law called second law of thermodynamics. It generally says that everything decays over a period of time. So the universe leads to inefficiency, deterioration, disintegration, degeneration, and decay. In a day-to-day example, if you have got a nice house and a nice garden, if you leave it, if you keep it closed for a year and go away and come back, you don't expect the house and garden to be in a better state, right? Similarly, if you park a car on the side of the road and come back after a month, you don't expect the car to be in a better state. So similarly, it says that everything in the universe deteriorates and disintegrates. But if you look at evolution, evolution says the opposite. From tiny single cellular creatures, it has improved and given rise to all these millions of species. So it is opposite to second law of thermodynamics. Now, this is a law. This is not just a statement. Of course, some people will argue that our universe is not a closed system. This is for a closed system. I think that that's a point for discussion. But in general, evolution is opposite to second law of thermodynamics. In another way, if we say the water tends to flow from top to bottom, as per second law of thermodynamics, evolution says no, it will flow from bottom to top, and also not only that, it will make all the mountains and buildings, which is completely the opposite. As I said, we need to, evolution has to explain two mechanisms to explain complexities of 8.7 million life forms on Earth. And the first step is random, which is a random mutation. Life is never an add-on process, as evolution suggests. So one at a time keeps on adding. We know many highly interactive cascading reactions like Krebs cycle, photosynthesis, biochemical and physiological reactions, just as I mentioned in marathon running. They can't come into existence one at a time. Krebs cycle has got about 30, 40 stages, and that is one of the most basic um, things that happens in a cell producing energy. It cannot come into existence one at a time. Photosynthesis has got 70 stages, all need to come as one block. So they life processes by and large are not add-on process as evolution suggests. So I will go on to natural selection. Evolution says that all steps has to be selected by nature. I want to ask, what is the power, sensitivity, and specificity of natural selection? Now, I have put a photo of an engine there. Of course, when the engine is completed, if it's a superior engine, it will be selected by the buyers. But if this engine, if it has got 30 steps to make it, which process selects the underlying. So right from the first nut and bolt till it's built fully, which process selects them? Because there's no purpose, there's no use of a partly built engine. So all life processes are like that. So only the final product may be selectable. It is it is it is easy when when you look at a single factor like a beak. But when there are multiple factors, how at the beginning, how does the natural selection select them? If you want to buy a house, you go to the new area, you look at the house, you look at the environment, you look at the schools, you look at the facilities, the roadways, the supermarkets, the neighborhood. You had to consider all those factors before deciding on the house. So similarly, if you look at the foot mechanisms, uh, other than walking, if you want to look at running, climbing, jumping, squatting, dancing, how does the how does the natural selection select them? Even we will need either our intelligence or even a modern computer to decide on the best option. So when there are multiple factors at the start to be thinking of, how can natural selection select? Bacteria has got this tiny bacteria, single cellular organisms. They have got 2,000 proteins. 2,000 at least. Some are even more. How do how are these being selected by natural selection? What mechanism can they select? And these are again interactive proteins. They're not just isolated proteins. So there are huge questions on natural selection. I'll come to about other problems with evolution. There is fossils are one of the main things evolutionists show. We see only 5% of the fossils needed. Um, if you look at ape to human to ape, uh, there is a minimum DNA difference of 40 million nucleotides because we have got 3.2 billion nucleotides in our DNA. And if we say that at the best estimate, there's a compatibility of 98.7. Many other estimates say that it is much less, but even at a best estimate, there's a 40 million difference of nucleotides between ape, apes and humans. Now, when we discuss about the mutation is only change in one nucleotide. So, how do 40 million nucleotides fill the gap between the common ancestor and humans? And when we look at literature, they describe about 10 stages. So, at each stage, on the average, there has to be 4 million nucleotide differences. But evolution, random mutation is a process where there's a change in one. Are, are they saying that 4 million sequential mutations have happened? Also, it is important to look at the rarity of a positive mutations. Now, mutations happen all the time in our bodies. The mutations which are relevant for evolution is are the mutations which happen in the sexual uh, uh, organs, the testes and the ovaries. Other mutations are not doesn't the mutations which happen in testes and ovaries are the mutations will be carried forward. And only 1 in 10 million mutations is supposed to be beneficial, which means that if you have to have two simultaneous mutations, it will have to be 1 in 100 trillion. Most of the mutations are harmless. By and large, vast majority of the mutations are neutral. And small number of mutations are harmful, but the positive mutations are extremely rare. This is from bacterial studies. Now we'll look at an example. A male seahorse. It's a male who gets pregnant, which is a unique feature. And they have estimated that for it to happen, it has taken 3,000 genes. So genes and mutations are different. Genes are large chunks of nucleotides. So it has said that it takes 3,000 genes. Now, what needs to happen for the normal process where a female gets pregnant for it to be transferred to a male? So for this process, the male seahorse has to have an elongated body, a new chamber, new muscles, new hormones, new biochemistry, and new behavior. And that process has taken 3,000 genes. And all these have to happen instantly. They cannot come one at a time, because if they want to produce even one generation, this swap has to happen instantly. So this cannot be explained by evolution because it has taken 3,000 genes. You can't have a partly built uh, the male pregnancy mechanism. It doesn't function. So similarly, if you take a if we say that a benign a snake develops a new venom, for that venom to be active, the cells have to secrete, it has to be collected in a chamber, the snake will have to have new fangs, and it'll have to show new behavior, and all those things have to happen for the new venom to be effective. And that sort of process will need hundreds and thousands of genes. It is not, there's no point in having a new venom if the other mechanisms are not there. So evolution cannot explain these things. Similarly, if you look at the adrenaline pathway, since absorption, it goes through several stages before the giving rise to adrenaline. And if that pathway is blocked because you through evolution, if at the second stage to third stage, if you had to wait for another 100 or 200 years, that process is useless, and there will be toxic effects of the partly built compounds. So looking at many examples like that, things have to come en bloc, not one at a time. So microevolution is always possible. We see that microevolution is a change in one structure like beaks or skin or fangs or whatever it is. But macroevolution is impossible. Macroevolution is evolution where a species, one species evolves to another species. And for that, multiple changes in all body systems need to happen for this change. So if microevolution is a drop of water, macroevolution is an ocean. I'll repeat that. If microevolution is a drop of water, macroevolution is an ocean. You cannot make an ocean by collecting one drop of water at a time. There's no evidence, once again, there's no evidence of complete evolution of one species to another out of 8.7 million species. I'll repeat that again. There's no evidence of complete evolution of one species to another out of 8.7 million species. There was a period called Cambrian period, and in Earth's history, that was about 530 million years ago. And during this time, 20,000 species suddenly appeared on Earth within a period of 10 million years. Now, you may think that 10 million is a long period of time, but in evolutionary terms, it's just a blink of an eye. And during all those 20,000 species did not have any preceding fossils, no predecessors or ancestors. And prior to that, it says that first life began on Earth about 3.5 billion years ago. And from that time to 655 million years ago, there were only very simple forms of life, like single cellular creatures, largely. So, in that context, sudden appearance of 20,000 species is highly significant during Cambrian period. And this is called a biological Big Bang. Evolution has not got any explanation for the Cambrian explosion. I want to come on to the issue of complexity. DNA is so complex that it took 13 years for 2,000, I think this number is slightly wrong, it should be 2,800 scientists to break the human DNA code. It took 13 years for over 2,800 scientists to break the human DNA code. Is that a random product? Has it come via a random process? Human brain has got 500 components, billions of intricate connections. I will show examples of this bit later. In human brain, 100,000 reactions happen every second via 50 neurotransmitters. How did random mutations and natural selections get there? I mentioned about bacteria having 2,000 proteins, and humans have got at least we produce over 20,000 proteins. Are these selected by a natural selection? Are these random products? Many of these things are not even properly understood by humans, let alone making them. And it's important to ask how random mutations achieve this. Problems of evolution, the purpose. I feel that in general, every body system and its mechanics are ideally suited and supremely optimized for the purpose. I feel that human brain is probably the only organ which is above the need for human survival. I feel that humans could probably survive with lesser brain function. I think this is the only organ in whole of uh, uh, the Earth, example of organ which is more developed than what is needed. Evolutionist Richard Dawkins is the most famous evolutionist. I'm sure many of you will know. In his book blind watchmaker. He says the complexity of living organisms is matched by elegant efficiency of apparent design. This is what he says. And in his book, Outgrowing God, he says everything about animal or plant, every detail of everyone looks overwhelmingly as though someone has designed and created. This is exactly my position also. But what he says is it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, but it's not a duck. That's his position. Phylogenetics is looking at how DNA and microDNA is spread among species. Now, phylogenetics can either break or make evolution or creation, right? And phylogenetics have failed to find uh, a true tree, as I showed, but what it has shown is a tangled bush. And some genetic sequence data was 99% off from the Darwinian model. And New Scientist Journal, I'm sure many of you know the New Scientist Journal, admitted that the tree of life lies in tatters, torn to pieces by an onslaught of negative evidence, and it has annihilated tree of life. This is not me saying, this is New Scientists saying based on phylogenetic evidence. So at that level, there's no evidence of tree of life as described by Darwin. Sexual development. If you say that one species evolves to another species, then there should be parallel male and female changes, right? Just like a railway track, as I have indicated, as shown. So, what are the differences between males and females? Physical, sexual anatomy, hormonal, behavioral, brain and neuronal, and physiological. When you say physiological, it's muscle power, the lung capacity, the heart function, and things like that. All are different between males and females, and that should happen in a parallel fashion. Now, if you say that random mutation happens in one person, that random mutation can never coordinate parallel changes in the opposite sex. This is one of the most fundamental things which has never been discussed in evolution circles. How does this happen? Because random mutation in one cannot coordinate parallel changes in the opposite sex. And many animals, they have got mating seasons. So during the seasons, all the hormones and biochemistry and behavior need to uh, coordinate. How does evolution do that? We cannot explain parallel sexual development in any of the species. Microbiome. So, microbiome is the variety of microorganisms in our body systems. These are bacteria, virus, and fungi. They are present in skin, nose, eyes, mouth, saliva, lungs, external genitalia, and our gut. And these organisms have a symbiotic relationship with us. It is part of our nutritional state, immunity, behavior, and resistance against gut diseases. It modulates our immune system. So, what in the previous slide I said evolution cannot explain how parallel changes happen between males and females. Now we are talking about parallel, we are talking about changes between two species, humans as well as hundreds of microorganisms. We need to understand each other's physiology and use that for for our benefit. How does evolution do that? It cannot. It cannot coordinate between two species, let alone one species. And there were studies where they show that if you clear the microorganisms from animals, they die in no time. So evolution cannot explain this. Now, ape to human hand, I'm sure you would have seen many things like that. The evolutionists will say, look, the bones are similar, and therefore ape hand has evolved to a human hand. Superficially, when you look at it, you could say it is possible, and they may say that a few mutations will do the trick. But is that the case? We'll look at what is needed for ape hand to become the human hand. We need to look at what are the functions and physiology and neuronal control of human hand. So apes are knuckle walkers, and they will use their hand to grip things and to eat as well as to walk. What do we use our hands for? Express joy, despair, disgust, disappointment, hope, support, appeal, welcome, threaten people, sympathy, to show sympathy or empathy, to do art, dancing, practice religion, gestures, applaud, approval, giving a lecture like what I'm doing now. I'm using my hand. For sports, making tools, write, activities of daily living. We use our hands for all those activities. And I omitted throwing. Humans are the only creatures which can throw things accurately. So in all these factors, our hand function is totally different to the function of the ape hand. In addition, from a sensory point of view, we can feel things, texture, stickiness, shape, texture, temperature. There are 14 types of different nerves are needed for this function. So when we say ape hand to human hand, all these functions come from the brain connection. Our hand got one of the biggest representations in the brain, billions of neurons, motor, sensory cortex, cerebellum. So if you say ape hand has evolved to the human hand, there has to be simultaneous changes at the brain level. Without those, any of the things I mentioned, we cannot use our hands for. So how can a random mutation process, even if does the local changes, how does it coordinate with the brain to give these amazing functions? In fact, our hand is called outer brain. So if you look at the totality of all changes needed for ape hand to become human hand, it is likely that tens of thousands of mutations of hundreds of genes are needed. Fossils. Grossly inadequate. You have seen pictures like that. They show one species changing to another species. They show one or two fossils in between. But if a species need to change to another species, to convince me, there should be hundreds or thousands of intermediate species to show the change. There's no continuous record in every species. The gaps are the same since Darwinian time. Absent fossils is one of the greatest embarrassments to Darwinism. I have already mentioned about Cambrian explosion. So, if you say that through evolution one species evolves to another species, then you need to look at all the following changes: anatomy, biochemistry, physiology, cardiac, respiratory, gastrointestinal tract, genitourinary tract, brain and neurology, sexual and reproductive system, behavior, visual, hearing and olfactory systems, hematology and immunological systems. If one species has to change to another species, there will be changes in all those systems. Evolution never ever touches on this. Evolution never ever touches. They will show few fossils in between without explaining any of these and say, oh, this species has changed to a new species. Look at these two fossils. Many evolutionists, the trump card is, oh, billions of years will do. That is the get out clause of evolution. If I want to have a fruit salad, if I have one fruit and if I had to wait for another 100 years for the next fruit to appear and another 100 years for the third fruit to appear, I can never have a fruit salad. All those things need to happen at the same time. In many instances, time is against evolution. As I had mentioned before, complex systems need to arise at the same time. I mentioned seahorse pregnancy. I mentioned about human hand, where hand and brain things need to happen at the same time. Another famous example of bacterial flagella. All systems need to happen at the same time. Unless the whole unit is developed fully, interim thousands of during interim thousands of years, it will be totally useless. Biological life is not an add-on system. I mentioned about Krebs cycle, photosynthesis, and many other biochemical processes. Now, evolution, we'll look at man-made objects. Now, it says with two processes, or it needs to explain all life, right? I don't want to ask you, you can think about these things and tell me whether any of the things I am going to show can come into existence with two mechanisms. International Space Station, can it come to existence with two steps? No, there will be at least 10,000 stages. Apollo mission, can it come to existence with two stages, two steps? No. Aircraft, internet, mobile phones, ship, a house, a bicycle, a bulb, a pencil, can it come to existence with two stages, out of which first step is totally random, even over billions of years? If your answer is no to any of them, why do you say that trillions of complexities of life can come into existence with two mechanisms? Why do you say how can anyone say that two mechanisms can give rise to all life? Because the biological processes are much more complex, 1,000 times more complex than all I had mentioned in this list. Even our brain is much more complex than Apollo mission or International Space Station. So how many species of life on Earth? I have already said it's about 8.7 million species. And all are uniquely suited to live and reproduce in the environment. I want to go through some animal adaptations to show the purpose purposeful adaptations. They are not random things which has happened by chance. Uh, Birds can fly 25,000 miles and come back to the same nest. Many fly non-stop over several days. Agility more than a modern aircraft. In modern aircraft, we do have all those mechanisms and all the things to guide, but birds have few magnetoreceptors on top of their beaks. How do they do that? And their agility is more than a modern aircraft. There are some birds, Arctic terns, they fly for months without landing. They sleep while they fly. Falcons can see a 10 centimeter object from 1.5 kilometer distance. This is needed for them to hunt. Salmon return from thousands of miles away where they were born. They come to the same stream. Do they have signposting to come back from thousands of miles? Monarch butterflies, they are tiny butterflies. They fly from North America to Mexico, 4,000 kilometers. How do they do that? They have got few cells on top of their antenna for them to guide. How do they do that? These are amazing purposeful adaptations. I will go on. Kevlar. Kevlar is the toughest man-made fiber used for bulletproof vests. And of course, it is made in high temperatures in using hazardous solvents in big sophisticated factories. The one of the spider dragline silk is tougher than Kevlar, and it is produced at room temperature using water as a solvent. How did this creature produce something tougher than what man can ever make? It says that 1 centimeter thick strands, 4 centimeters apart, can stop a jumbo jet in flight. That is how strong that is. Is it randomly uh, happen to this spider? No, they use that to catch prey. Grizzly bears can smell from 18 miles distance. They need that in Arctic sort of places where you can't find anyone for miles and miles. Alaskan wood frogs, they freeze solid. They stop breathing, heart stops, and it allows them to survive up to minus 80 degrees. And during spring, it comes back to life. Now, these are amazing changes, and for that, in every cell of the body has to go through plethora of amazing changes for that to happen, and also for it to reverse back to life. All these are needed for their survival and lifestyle. Humans, strong or weak, we have seen many baby giraffes or baby elephants. Soon after birth, they had to stand up, identify their parents. They had to walk with the herd. Within the first day, they had to walk miles. How advanced are they at the time of birth? Many people would have seen this lizard in discovery programs. This lizard was would have been hatched this just 15 minutes ago. Now this lizard, after coming out of he has to identify the terrain, he has to see where he is, and he needs to know where he should go. He needs to go to the sea, and during that period you get snakes waiting for these new lizards to to catch and eat them. So this new lizard has to run faster than the snake, not only run and jump and escape. So how advanced is this lizard who was in an egg half an hour ago? How advanced are they at the time of their birth? And that is, those are vital for their survival. I mean, our babies, they take year to walk, months to talk. They need, we need food to be prepared hygienically. We have got weak immune systems. We struggle at extremes of temperature. We need shelter. Physically, we have gone backwards. Physically, in every parameter, we have gone backwards. If you go back to the tree of life, which I showed, we are at the top of the tree, should be having better physical properties than all the animals live in live outside. But we have physically gone back in most parameters. We could be the weakest species on earth physically. But how are we the strongest species on earth? It's due to our brain power. Excuse me. Right. So our brain is 50,000 more times efficient than my laptop. It's 30 times more powerful and 5 times faster than the most powerful computer in the world. I'll read it again. 30 times more powerful and 5 times faster than the most powerful computer on the earth, which is IBM Sequoia. It is held in 316 square meter building, and it has got 96 racks as it's shown in the picture. Is our brain a product of random mutations? If our brain was a product of random mutations, why can't we match that, or why can't easily understand our brain? Human brain holds 5 times the information of Encyclopedia Britannica. The capacity of the brain is the same as the internet. I'll read it again. Capacity of the brain is same as the internet. 2.5 petabytes of information. It is the most complicated and the most mysterious structure in the universe. We know about billions of stars than our human brain. Our human brain has got 100 billion neurons, 1 quadrillion connections. Each cell in the brain has got at least 10,000 connections. Some parts of the brain cerebellum has got 40,000. Each cell has got 40,000 connections, some going up to 100,000 connections. As I said, I feel that our brain is the only organ in all species more than what is needed for survival. Brain power example. This is directly from work as a rehab physician. We stimulate the muscles of stroke patients. As you see, you can see how the stroke patient is walking. And we stimulate 1 or 2 muscles to improve their walking and get their gait to normal. And we need to stimulate the muscle at the exact time of the gait cycle. Otherwise, it will not work. We can usually we stimulate 1 muscle, but we can stimulate 2 or 3 muscles maximum. But do you know that when we walk, our human brain coordinates 200 muscles perfectly? 200 muscles perfectly. And if any of those muscles don't fire correctly, we will have an abnormal walk. When we sing, vocal cords oscillate 400 times a second, amazingly controlled by our brain. When we frown, we use 47 muscles. When we smile, we use 17 muscles. And if any of the muscles don't fire correctly, we will have an awkward smile. 22 muscles when we swallow. And this is a chart of muscle activation. Now, there are about 20 muscles there. You can see when we take one step, it's maybe just a second. So within this second, all these muscles are activated and deactivated, right? And this is only 20, but brain controls 200 muscles when we walk. Of course, when we run and do sports, it'll be much more. That is the power of the brain. That is the power of the brain. This is a diagram of a neuronal connections. The leading organization looking into human brain function is an institute called Allen Institute in the States. And the chief executive was asked, how much do we know about the function of the brain? And what he said was, sorry, we don't know about the function of the brain. We are just studying a worm which has got 302 nerve cells, and we are studying how those work. So this is that diagram of 302 nerve connections. Our brain has got at least 86 billion neurons, right? So we don't know anything. Even they haven't even started looking at how the brain functions. In our brain, we have got a thumb size area called thalamus. On either side, we have got two, and they are relay stations. So in each relay station, there are about 60 nuclei. Nuclei are they are the relay stations, and these are the brain connections to those nuclei. These connections to four of those nuclei. So there are 60, right? And are these being produced by random mutations selected by natural selection? How did they do that? Also, brain gets input from our tongue, 1,000 different tastes, 1 trillion different odors. We can see up to 7.5 million colors. Every second of information, when we look at things, it sends 18 gigabytes of information to the brain. Ears, we have got hearing range up to 20,000 hertz, but some animals do have better range. How intelligent are humans? Of course, humans are intelligent. I've seen some, you can see some things we have done, and many more, trillions of things. But the question is, how intelligent are the humans? When you ask, how intelligent are the humans, we are comparing it with another standard. This is a cell. We have not even come even remotely close to making a cell. The cell membrane itself has got about 1,000 different lipoproteins. It has got various channels for the things to come in and go out, various processes, active process, passive processes. In the center, you get nucleus. We have got DNA. In humans, we have got 3.2 billion nucleotides. And cell is the most basic of all life. And we can't even get remotely close to making a cell. A cell is a world of supreme technology and bewildering complexity. You may not know that NASA has been attempting to make a cell, uh, and they are million miles away from that. In every sense, a cell goes beyond anything produced by intelligence of man. If you say a cell can be come into existence randomly, it's like saying a perfect copy of a book following an explosion in a printing house. DNA, few examples of how DNA looks and how DNA is analyzed in the middle picture. It is obviously genetic code. In each DNA, we have got about we have got over 20,000 genes, and each gene we have got about 27,000 coding nucleotides on the average. As I said, we have got 3.2 billion base pairs. And if you want to write it, it will take 428 volumes of encyclopedia of 1,000 pages. And each time when I was talking to you in my body, there would have been cells dividing maybe 1,000 or 10,000 times, and each time when a cell divides, it replicates the same information to the new cell. The chances of DNA profile being repeated is 1 in 260 billion chance. 1 gram of DNA will store 200,000 tons of hard drive information. 1 gram of DNA will store 200,000 tons of hard drive information. It is 200 billion times more compact than hard drives. Bill Gates says DNA code is beyond any known computer code. Codes are products of intelligence only, no ifs or no buts. Codes are products of intelligence only, no ifs or no buts. Sir Fred Hoyle says, a probability of spontaneous life originating in the world is equivalent to a tornado sweeping through a junkyard assembling a jumbo jet. Zygote is our first cell. It divides into 37 trillion cells perfectly. And in our first cell, it has got information of over 600 muscles, 200 bones, 500 components of in the brain, all the about the gastrointestinal tract, eye, and the circulation. And when it divides, ultimately it gives rise to 300 different types of cells in the body. And we don't know how our protein genes, 20,000 genes, are activated and deactivated in this process. It's amazing. No one knows. They are, at the end of the day, we get a newborn baby. And in every minute, 250,000 of brain cells are formed every minute. How does it do that? Is it a product of natural selection and random mutations? It also gives all the other things, intelligence, smile, behavior, attitudes, all are in our DNA. It is estimated that in human body, DNA information is more than the information in the whole of World Wide Web. No human intervention can ever come remotely closest to a technical brilliance of even a most basic cell. Cell is the basic of all life. Biomechanically perfect. We do get analysis on our patients. You can see the perfect biomechanics. We cannot improve the normal biomechanics when we walk. That's the other picture is a walking of a cerebral palsy patient and very grossly abnormal walking. Only intelligence can give rise to perfect systems. If we are products of a random process, at our walking may have been like the cerebral palsy patient. Unique design is true for every organ of the body to perform its function, every organ or system, every creature of the world, and ideally suited, most biomechanical perfect, uniquely compatible with the environment we live. So is it random? If it's random, why has it stopped with humans? What would have happened if two or more species had the same brain power, a snake and humans, if we had the same brain power? Was it random or by design? So the crux of it is the proof. I'm coming to the proof. If you a bank card has got 4 numbers and the chance of guessing is 1 in 10,000. If you get a lottery, the chance of winning is 1 in 14 million. If you 1 in trillion is 10 into the power 12. There's a law called Borel's law, 10 into the power 50 minus 50. It says that any number below this cannot be a random occurrence anywhere in the universe. Borel's law says that any number less than this cannot happen anywhere in the universe as a random product. So compared to 1 in trillion, which is 10 into the power 12, look how high the 10 into the minus power 50 is. Now, the proof. Universe probability, Professor Stephen Hawking says 10 into the power 60, that's 10 billion times less than Borel's law. 200 factors needed for life is 10 into the power 99, way above. In fact, we have got only 10 into the power 80 atoms in the whole universe. We have got only 10 into the power 80 in the whole universe. But this is 10 into the power 99. 574 amino acids forming hemoglobin is 10 into the power 950. So amino acids are in proteins, it's like the alphabet. So there are 20 amino acids and they can be in forming a protein, it can be in any order. So it's like having a 574 letter word. What are the chances of random formation of 574 letter word? Similar to the hemoglobin in this. It's 10 into the power 9 minus 950. 200 proteins randomly forming in a bacteria. This is a calculation done by Professor Chandra Vikram Singh. We all know him. He's the perfect person to do this because he's a professor of applied mathematics, astronomy, and astrobiology. I can't find any other person who could calculate this number. He says, actually, this number is slightly wrong. It should be 10 into the power minus 40,000. It's not 4,000. 10 into the power minus 40,000. Even if there are multiverses, even if there are billion or trillion multiverses, this cannot happen. And this is just for a single cellular bacteria, not about a trillion cell primate or dinosaur or humans. This is for the chances of a single cellular bacteria. If you look at this circuit diagram, anyone should be able to say it cannot be a random product. It's an intelligent diagram. If you look at 4 Lego pieces, even a monkey might be able to get it right. But if there are 10,000 pieces, you can't expect the monkey to get it right. Evolution, think of a book. Think of a baby book. A printing error might say this is a cake, and the printing error might say this is a reg. It might, in the context, may be useful or may not be useful. Evolution is similar to saying that such cumulative errors will make all books on earth, fiction, science, maths, educational, literature, poetry, computer, medical, magazines, etc., with no intelligence. If you think it is possible, you are on the side of evolution. Proof of creation, nothing random. Appearance of evidence for design is overwhelming. Universe, solar system, Earth, life, human cells, DNA. All are finely tuned. Absolutely impossible for it to be random. Anthony Flew, who advocated atheism for 50 years, now says intelligence must be at work for creation of life. So, what is the purpose? Intelligence means we can appreciate the marvel of creation. What is the point of being best cook in the world and after making a meal if there's no one to appreciate that? But humans are made to appreciate the taste as well as the marvel of creation. At the beginning, I said evolution has a substantial number of biologists and who do not believe in evolution. And these are a list of 1,200 professors and PhD scientists who says evolution does not work. If anyone wants, I can forward this to you. I think I had taken a lot of time. So all this information and much more is in my book. I hope many of you will be able to get it and read it. And I'm quite happy to take any questions. But as I said, this is a scientific talk, as you may have realized. It's not a religious talk. So I'm quite happy to take any scientific questions. But I don't think I'm qualified enough to take purely religious questions because I mean, if someone asks me why is there a lot of suffering on earth, I feel that that is a bit of a religious question rather than a scientific question. But I'm quite happy to take on any scientific questions. Thank you very much. Sorry, I've taken a bit longer than what I initially thought. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Uditha. Let me start by asking one question. I have loads of questions. While you're talking, I was writing it down. It went up to 3 pages, so I'm not going to ask all those. I'll leave it for others. But the starting question from me, let's say we agree. So you're saying that humans are a very complex organism. So you have given us examples of the brain power, how the muscle power, very complex systems, right? And your argument is such a complexity cannot be generated randomly.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me take that argument a little bit forward. So let's say such a complex brain, complex thinking patterns, a body can never be reproduced by a human at the moment, isn't it? We cannot build such a complex system.
We can't, as I said, we can't even produce a cell, which is the
Yes,
most basic of
most
all.
basic. Right. Now, the human machine is being generated every single day, millions of cases anywhere in the world, right?
Yeah.
Now, that in itself is an improbability because we cannot think how this kind of complex machine can be generated within 9 months. Okay? So are you saying there is somebody, because it's so complex, because no human can generate it, therefore a creator should be there, somebody building up these humans, such complex things, which happens on a daily basis.
What I'm saying is there's intelligence behind all life, not only life, from the universe downwards. So that's why I said about the probability of fine tuning of the universe, as Professor Stephen Hawking said, 10 into the minus 60. That's again beyond Borel's cutoff point. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not the question I'm asking. I'm asking, no human can reproduce such a complex organism,
Yeah.
right? So if it is that complex, how come that it happens on a daily basis everywhere? What do you call that process?
So that is the programming, just like the DNA, it has been programmed to give rise to all that. So we can't reproduce, but the 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 intelligent design has been made in such a way that it continues, the process continues through DNA, life and birth and things like that, for life to continue.
So we still don't know. We know how to put a sperm and a ovum, and then we probably know scientifically it regenerates, but we still don't know how the life is given to that process. So are you suggesting that there is somebody who's breathing life into that process on a
Yeah, that is
continuous basis?
that is the core message of this talk.
Right. So
Yeah,
every single human being somebody, some intelligent being is programming them, making them, and putting life into it. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that every single person and every single creature. The system is created in such a way that it happens uh, automatically. I'm not saying every creature is purposefully created, but the system creates that whole process.
Yeah, but the system is such complex. You yourself said
Yeah,
that system is improbable
yeah,
for us to even replicate.
yeah,
That
yeah.
does not
So
mean that there is some person doing it, right? So
yeah,
the analogy is, you're saying there are improbable things, right?
mhm,
And because they are so improbable, so complex, we cannot believe that a natural process can be the
that's right.
author of those. And
That's
I'm
right.
using the same argument. The creation of a human being is such a complex thing, therefore it cannot be natural, because you're
Yeah,
saying that.
yeah. So that's why it is important to look at a cutoff point for what is possible under natural. So I think Borel's law gives that cutoff point, because many times you can give a number, and whatever the number, then anyone could say, yeah, still there's a possibility, isn't it? But Borel's law says beyond that cutoff point, no natural processes can explain that. So that is very important point there. There is a ceiling. Even Borel's number is hugely small. So it says that beyond Borel's number, nowhere in the universe things cannot be explained on a natural basis. So therefore, you need to look at a unnatural agent uh, giving rise to all complexities. Yeah.
So I don't want to extend this, but I just want to clarify this point. So yeah, you know how complex one single cell coming to a fully grown human being. That in
Yeah.
itself, how many combinations of random occurrences has to happen. The wiring of the brain, everything, and those things could happen naturally, right? You believe that it can happen naturally because we see it on an everyday basis, but the start of that process cannot happen naturally. Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like a computer program, isn't it? The program is there in the background, and using that program, we can create our own things. Write letters or communicate and things like. but that's because of the program. So the program has been set up, and we can, I mean, rest of the things happen. Yeah.
Okay, let's open up to other people. I don't see any questions yet. Please put the hands up. Unless Aja or Mahendra, I can see them. I mean, this is the
Hey,
time when
Ron.
you can. Yeah, okay, Mahendra. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I must again congratulate Uditha for his bravery and expertise, dedication in delving into this very deep subject and daring, may I say, to publish a book on that. So hats off to Uditha. And he did it in a very scholarly fashion, not in a very random way. I just want to make some observation. I'm not going to contest what he said in the way of a debate, but I just like to point out a few things about how good and perfect this universe is. First of all, our sun also has a definite life, 10 billion years, it says. In another 5 billion years, the sun is gone.
Yeah.
So then you begin to wonder about purpose. What's the purpose of having a sun which only lasts 10 billion years? That's one. Other one is about the well-known fact that the two galaxies, Andromeda and our Milky Way, are going to collide roughly again in about, I think, 10 billion years or something like that. They're all trying to say what would happen. Thirdly, the fact that no life has yet been found doesn't mean that no life is there.
Correct.
One more thing about
Correct.
randomness.
Yeah.
I think the impression given that randomness is, if you like, totally random is not quite true, because mutations are random, but the selection is not random. It's selection by fitness, by survival advantage. So if you have a mutation in the sexual genes, as you say, because and it's not, I think it's not, it's a bit misleading to say that it has one gene or two genes. You are talking of mutations which can be a whole series within genetic makeup to produce an offspring which is very different from the previous one. Maybe in some features, not all features. For example, you can imagine among donkeys, a giraffe rising with a long neck. That does not, that means only the genes concerned with the neck would have been changed. That's just an example. So I'm saying that the using random is not quite right unless you specify saying that the random mutation then leads to selection through natural selection to advantage or through survival advantage or fitness advantage. One of the problems I had with evolution has been partially solved, and that is that environmental changes for me should have an impact on further propagation of species. We now know that through epigenetics, you can change the mRNA, at least, of organisms, which lasts for a few generations and then has to be encoded, otherwise be lost. So for me, the complexity that you described so well, so beautifully about humans and about everything is absolutely true. And till Darwinian evolution, Darwin came up with the theory, which is, of course, as you rightly say, is incomplete. There are gaps in it. Till that came, there was not sufficient evidence or even a way of thinking about how the universe and life can be so complex. To me, I have read it thoroughly, and I won't debate with you about the points you gave about why you don't like evolution. But for most scientists, I think evolution is a beautiful way of explaining diversity in the universe. It's the most beautiful way of it so far given by people who want to give a scientific theory. Now, if you go to designer, you're only creating another set of problems. Why is there a designer? Why did he decide this? Why did he give an appendix to human beings? Why does he, and so many questions. And then you can ask, if you go back in time, the whole environment of species of animals and plants is totally different from what it is now. And you're saying that humans are the zenith. You're talking about humans as it is now. But who knows what's going to happen in another million years? Because we are not talking here in terms of flock of sheep changing in one generation. We are talking of a huge length of time. And it's entirely possible that a species might evolve, which is nothing like man, some completely superior. Now, that is speculation, I agree. But for me, looking at scientific facts, evolution, although it is not perfect, it seems to be the most sensible way of explaining diversity. About the universe and how big it is, I have absolutely no clue. I don't know why it is so big, why it is so, no idea at all. But just considering evolution, to me, it is the most beautiful explanation so far to explain biodiversity that we exist in the universe, and to explain the fossil history and the fact that the universe, that the Earth we live on now, and the beings that we have now are very, very different from 1 to 10,000 years ago. As to why it happened in such a short time, I agree with you. It's a huge, huge puzzle. Life has been there for thousands, millions of years, but why did human beings suddenly explode? That is a big question. I don't have the answer, and you may have the answer. But to me, an easy way of getting out of everything is to say there's an intelligence behind it, and then that leads to further question. What do you mean by intelligence? Is it a creator? What sort of creator is he? What is he after? You even suggested that the reason why he created human beings, because he wanted somebody to appreciate his work. I mean, that is giving a very human interpretation. So yeah, those are my thank you for listening to me, Uditha.
Right. Thank you very much. Can I just answer some of those questions? Mahendra, I did ask you, I did show that many human man-made products, I asked whether they can come into existence with two processes. Out of first is random. I believe everyone here would say that they cannot come into existence based on two processes, out of which the first is completely random. So if that's the case, why do you think that our life, complexes in life, our brain, including the brain, which is billion times more complex, can come into existence with those two mechanisms? Out of that, first is random mutations. Random mutations is the one which generates the information. And I said only 1 in 10 million random mutations are positive. 1 in 10 million random mutations are positive. And I said about the natural selection. Natural selection could select in certain circumstances the final product, but how does the natural selection select the 100 processes before that? It doesn't explain. You said about appendix and things like that. We have found the cause, the answer for appendix. I mean, vestigial organs is one of the things evolutions ask. Why? How do you explain about vestigial organs? About 50 years ago, the list of vestigial organs was 180, including appendix and pineal gland and things like that. Now we have found reasons for all those. So it has basically disappeared from the argument. You did say that our sun is halfway through the cycle. Yes, that is true. I don't think even all the species, including probably humans also, we can't claim for eternity. I'm sure there is a stop point for all of us. We don't know what was there before the Big Bang. So yes, every species will have a limited time. I'm sure humans also will have that. We don't know. But what I'm saying is that the current evolution process doesn't even scratch the surface of complexity, giving rise to all this. I mean, I did say that DNA, the 1 gram of DNA contains 200,000 tons of hard drive information. Do you think it is random? Is it a random occurrence? No. Okay, sorry. I'll take any other questions.
There's an interesting question by Roshan P, and I had the same question. And Roshan, if are you there? Will you be able to ask the question yourself, or do you want me to ask? Well, in the chat, he asked me to ask the question.
Go ahead and ask the question, Ruan.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that then. So Uditha, this is the issue, right? So you said that there's no macroevolutionary evidence, and you gave some information about the Lenski's experiment, where 40,000 generations of E. coli didn't produce any significant change. Now, both Roshan and I, we were wondering, at the start of COVID, we had a very virulent strain of COVID, which killed most of us. And within 2 years, we have COVID still, and that becomes a very non-virulent strain, and nobody now even test ourselves for it. So we have, within our lifetime, within the past 2 years, 3 years, we have seen COVID from a killer virus into a very mild, now it's considered as a flu virus. So we have seen that, obviously. So why do we need other experiments, 40,000, whatever? I can't believe why is it?
Ruan, you need to, that's the importance in identifying, recognizing microevolution and macroevolution. Macroevolution is where one species changes to another one. So there has to be multiple changes across all body systems for that to happen. Microevolutions happen all the time. We know that. We know bacterial resistance. We know COVID things. Microevolutions happen all the time. There's no argument about that, right? So virulence change, but COVID organisms remain COVID organisms, however much things happen, right? Microevolutions happens all the time. So similarly, in Lenski's experiment, bacteria, E. coli remained E. coli even after 70,000 generations. Yes, there was a change. That's microevolution change. In every bacteria, I said in E. coli, there could be probably more than 2,000 proteins. Out of those 2,000 proteins, one protein would have changed for it to give the citrate metabolic change. Rest of the 1,999 remain the same, though that is microevolution. Macroevolution is totally different. So that's what I said. If microevolution is a drop of water, macroevolution is an ocean.
Okay, so in other words, what you're saying is, whoever this creator made humans or the organisms, and at that point, he made them in such a way that they could evolve into different species or subspecies or whatever, but up to that point, it's creation.
Yeah, so species, dogs have about 200 or 300 subspecies. That is possible. That's genetic mix, right? That's genetic mix can give rise to subspecies, but developing new species is totally different. If developing a subspecies is like crossing a small river, developing new species is like crossing all the oceans of the earth. So in all, I mean, some moths, there are more than 1,500 subspecies, right? So yes, that's a mix up of genetic information creating slightly different phenotypes, but that is different to development of complete new species.
Sorry, I understand what you're saying, but my question is, so let's say the microevolution goes, we have seen evidence of microevolution, you will admit that, but probably lasting for probably million years or whatever, right? So whoever the creator has created some complex forms, but he allowed those complex forms to evolve microevolutionary ways into different virulence or whatever other things. But up to that point, he created the organism. That's your argument. Is that right?
I think you're pro. I would agree with that. Yeah, yeah.
So let's move to Ajah's question.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you for the lecture. I didn't know you were that well read. I don't know where you read all these things. You have given us a lot of numbers, trillions of numbers, which we will try and remember. The question is, human beings have been able to clone animals, and they are also able to manipulate DNA. So do you think by intelligent design, human beings will be able to create maybe another species of animal in the future? I mean, I'm just talking about hundreds of years hence, whether human being using their intelligence, will they be able to create a different being than what we see now?
Well, I don't know the answer to that. Certainly, humans have been trying to create, and horse and donkey have been used to create a mule. A lion and leopard had been used to create a leopard. I don't know what a leopard is, but both are sterile. So the chances of developing a species, I'm not talking about subspecies, a species, new species, is likely to fail, or at least it has failed up to now. I don't know. I mean, these will give a message to say that yes, even the attempts you make will not survive. That's what I guess. What will happen in 100 years time or 1,000 years time, I don't know.
Right. There are several comments and questions. I'm just trying to figure out, can somebody ask the question rather than me going through it? There's lots of compliments to you, Uditha.
Thank you.
And okay, Shant Samarage raised his hand. Sam.
Hi, Sam.
Oh, right. Thank you very much. I was outside and I just managed to listen. I didn't want to miss you, and I'm watching from my iPhone. Question is I understand is you can create something to like Dolly or whatever it is. In my understanding, shouldn't what you call a vinyana should get into that particular creation.
Sorry, I didn't understand that question.
You can create anything, create or whatever you're creating, but shouldn't there be anything else added? Like in my belief, what is called a vinyana should added to that one, to creation.
I don't know what you mean by vinyana. Sorry.
So let's say, Uditha, this is a question I asked. Let's say, the ovum and sperm is there. How does suddenly it becomes life? What is meant by life?
So that is a very, very important question, because all we know, life can arise only from life. So all the attempts the scientists have been trying to do is to create from chemicals to life, and that is a barrier which cannot be crossed, or at least we know it cannot be crossed as at present, because we know life can come only from life. So So we can create, we may be able to try to create different lives, that, as I explained, but new life can be created only with another life. So this is one of the biggest stumbling blocks for all researchers to how to break that barrier. They don't know how to get life from non-life.
Okay, let's move on to another one. There is a question. We don't know the name. It just says iPad to everyone. So basically, the question is, few hundred years ago, we did not know whether Earth is going around the sun or some other way. So, um, to add to that question, we didn't know about how tsunamis happen. We didn't know about how earthquakes happen. Those kind of natural phenomena were given a godly explanations, right? Oh, there's this god who's using his weapons to punish man or whatever way, lightning, thunder, etc. But with knowledge, with scientific knowledge, scientific advances, we could explain those phenomena, and we no longer believe those phenomena as godly or superhuman. Okay? So just because there's no explanation, how can you say that there should be a creator? Because the whole idea is, look, there is this very complex process which cannot happen or cannot be explained by the existing evolutionary principles. Therefore, there should be a creator. I can understand it cannot be explained fully, but therefore somebody should be created. This is where I'm struggling.
Ruad, you touched a very important point. It is, we know more than what we knew 100 years ago. Even we know obviously more than what Darwin knew, and that's why this neo-Darwinism and things like that have come. But it is quite possible that in 100 years or 1,000 years time, 10,000 years time, there will be new things. There could be new explanations. And also, even if humans can create a life, new life, we'll say in 10,000 years time, what does it mean? It means that it is only the intelligence which has created life, because it's the human intelligence which has created life. Evolution wants to believe the other way. They think there's no need of intelligence and it can rise spontaneously. So even if humans create that is compatible with me, what I'm saying is intelligence is needed for that process. It cannot happen without an intelligence, with evolution says. Evolution wants us to say, just like the book, the final thing, book I said, everything happens randomly. No, it cannot happen randomly.
I can see somebody raising the hand. Please go ahead and ask your question.
It was me, Roshan.
Oh, Roshan, hi. Hi, Roshan.
Go ahead. Roshan.
Congratulations, Uditha, on your wonderful presentations and the arguments you raised. My question is, not that I'm asking, but it's a broad one. Just because the absence of one, does it justify the presence of another way of thinking? It's a kind of a broad.
Yeah. So lots of people say, oh, evolution is scientific and creation is non-scientific. Or sometimes they say, oh, it's God of the gaps. So because things cannot be explained, you say, oh, God did it. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is different. I'm saying that science points, it's the science that points to an intelligent designer. It's not God of the gaps example. So for example, if you walk in the forest and if you see a man dead, right?
Mhm.
And if you go close to him, you see gunshot points in his body. Now, at a distance, you could have said that man would have died from natural cause, heart attack or brain hemorrhage or whatever it is, or he could have been killed. You don't know who killed it, but from that evidence, you know that someone has killed him because there are gunshot points. So some evidence which we find in all these things point to us in certain direction, and that is most probably right. So in that situation, you don't know who killed, you don't know, but with that evidence of gunshot wounds, you know that he has been killed. And that is right, even if you don't know what has what are the circumstances. So my explanation is like that. What I'm saying is that right at the start, I said gave few possibilities of how things happen, and I have excluded the possibility of nature doing things based on Borel's law. Beyond Borel's law, it cannot happen naturally. Then you need to say, in that case, how did that happen? So that's where with all the other backup evidence, I'm saying that, yeah, intelligently designed.
So intelligent design as God, the technocrat?
Well, obviously it has to be amongst many other things, and also one of the things I didn't mention, that there are many things in humans which are not subjected to natural selection, like love, joy, anxiety, dreams, hopes, aspiration, judgment, meaning of life. Those are not life limiting. So how did we get those? How did we get those?
I was going to ask as well, virtue wise, that kind of, how
Yeah.
do you, yeah,
Yeah,
virtue
yeah. Those are
can't
those which we have got
Yeah.
cannot have an explanation based on natural selection or Darwin, whatever it is.
And the other thing I wanted to ask was Sam, I don't know, I mean, I didn't know the interpretation, was Sam asking, was that the soul that he was referring to? That you can create, but you had to put life into it. So is it the soul then?
Yeah, I can probably help you in this regard, Roshan. So, soul concept is a more Abrahamic religious concept,
Yeah.
whereas Sam's question is the equivalent in Buddhism. They
Yeah.
believe in what we call vijnana, which might, there's another term. Sam, help me with that. There's Rasika, please help me there. There's a stage of in between two lives. There's a stage where they are waiting to get into a live being. What is it called? Gandhabba.
Right,
Sorry.
Bhavanga Chitta.
Or Gandhabba as well, yeah? Right.
Yeah.
So does that answer your...
Consciousness.
Yeah. I was just thinking whether there's a similarity in the interpretation. Yeah.
It's
Thank
a different religions using the different interpretation.
Okay.
So, are there any other questions? Because I got one. Please raise your
One,
hand.
can I please, I put on chat as well. I have the same question that Lalit Chandrakanta raised, but I was waiting for him to articulate it.
Let's ask Lalit. You want to ask that question, Lalit? I've seen that as well.
Yes, I can ask the question. It's a very simple question. I understand that is the given the very complexity of the situation, because of that it is a very intelligent design. If the intelligent is if the design is so intelligent, why there are imperfect products?
Right. It's important to ask what are the imperfections. Many people have said, oh, this is imperfections, but they are not actually imperfections. So someone has, or in some of my previous discussion, as why people are so prone to have aspirations when we eat. Yes, there is a risk of aspiration, but my question is, can you come up with a better solution for that? There's no better solution, because our esophagus and trachea and vocal cords have to join together to produce the voice mechanism also. So it is not only the swallowing and respiration, but when you add the need for our language and speech, you can't come up with a better solution. So if you some people are asked, why are we prone to have spinal injuries? You can have a rigid spine, but that will reduce your flexibility. So likewise, in everything, if you try to ask in what way you could improve, there aren't many options. There aren't many options. I mean, people could ask, I mean, even the foot mechanisms, all those things, there aren't better options. And if you have got options, it'll have more limitations. So considering all the possible things, we feel most of the time we will come to a conclusion that that is the best option.
Sorry, what I mean is actually, I think you made a distinction between the two situations where there's a macro design and a micro changes.
Yeah.
So if we take, so if I were to understand your theory or your concept, is that so if we take the human beings as a macro design,
Yeah.
so when we have disabled children, or even children are born without even an encephaly, or even the very serious ones, or with all the other deformities and congenital abnormalities, we would have to consider them as micro evolutions, which are not at the control of the designer.
Right. I think you brought a very important thing. I don't call that as a micro evolution. That's I won't put it in those terms, but those are genetic defects. But on a broader front, for life to work, for universe to work, all of us have to be different. For example, if all of us are the same in every way, just like a ball coming out of a machine, if all of us are the same, the universe cannot function. We need to have different capabilities, different thinking, different physique, different abilities. And into that mix also comes diseases and imperfections. So that's how world is made up of. Of course, if you take that individual's point of view, you could say, why me? But if you look at a broader things, we need to have, each one of us have to have differences. If not, as I said, if there are no differences between all of us, we'll say a person born on today, if all are the same in every way of their life, they will die on the same day, then the world cannot function. So yes, there are differences, which includes illnesses and also disability. That's how, unfortunately, the dynamism of world is about. So so that's my explanation. But
Okay.
as a species, I mean, when you say sea turtles, you can ask, or even the lizard examples, anyone could ask, why is that lizard prone to be eaten by a snake? Or we can see, I mean, all the animals are hunted by other animals. Why is that suffering? But that's how the food pyramid and all things work. That has to be there, and without that, the world can't function. On the other side of the argument, if you say that everyone is the same, the world cannot function.
Okay, let's move on to Lalit Jayasekara's question. Lalit.
Yeah. Hi, Uditha.
Hi.
Hi. Like Ajanta, I'm also surprised with your knowledge and your intelligence and being your batchmate, roommate, classmate. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sort of two questions. One is, you said there's not enough evidence of fossils, and so some stage of our next few years or 25 years or whatever it is, you get more evidence. Will you change your
No.
theory?
So this is the problem with when Darwin, about 170 years ago, he saw these gaps. And he thought over a period of time, those gaps will be filled, and those gaps remain the same despite billions of fossils being detected. And even between humans, in human evolution, from the common ancestors to humans, there are about 10 stages. There should be tens of thousands of stages. There should be, because evolution says minor changes, one change at a time. So there should be tens of thousands of different stages, not 10 stages. So even now, they recognize that there are no intermediate. The fact that they haven't found is because it is difficult to find. It's not because it's difficult to find, they are not existent. So there are no intermediate stages. Again, that's a big, as I said, that's the biggest embarrassment to Darwinism, because they have not been able to find these intermediate stages. And out of 8.7 million species on Earth today, we haven't got a single example of one species completely evolving to another species. How many species do they want? Do they want trillions? No, that is not there.
Okay, sorry, there's another part of my second question, if you don't mind. I mean, it's a challenging topic. Have you, I don't think Christianity or Buddhism generally or disbelieve the Darwinian theory. Now, have you, I mean, in your talk, you didn't talk about any religious beliefs, but have you thought about any, in your writing the book, that you will be challenged by religious believers, tricky questions? Sorry, no, it's a very challenging topic, isn't it? I mean, in your talk, you didn't mention any words about religion.
Yeah.
But I mean, Christianity and Buddhism, I don't think they disbelieve Darwinism theories, but there could be groups sort of could challenge you. Are you?
Yeah.
Did you think about those things, or?
Yeah, I mean, the evolution creation debate has been going on for such a long time.
Yeah.
And particularly the points which I have mentioned in my book, particularly about the brain, the zygote, the sexual differentiation, those are things have never been discussed in evolution creation discussion. So I feel that in my book there's something new. And about the ape to human hand, the changes needed, no one has ever discussed the distal changes needed for if there's a big change in one organ, the rest of the body has to change. So there has to be a plethora of changes need to happen, and that sort of thing has usual never been discussed in these things. So I feel that my book is bringing a new discussion points to the table.
Thank you very much.
There is a question from Jaika. Jaika, you want to ask the question? Is Jaika here? Or shall I just... Oh, there you are. Go ahead, Jaika.
Hi, Jaika.
Thank you, Uditha, for that lovely talk. I have a problem with this whole concept you're putting forward so much that maybe if I pick this up, I could write another book in support of evolution and Darwinism, but I have other matters to deal with. So, but I'll briefly mention a few things, like some other people, I could have written about 3 pages of these points, but I'll just mention a few. I put one on the chat as well. You see, the human as we have now, the present day human, the Homo sapiens sapiens, is actually a mixture of the DNA of 3 previous humans: the Homo sapiens, the Homo neanderthalis, and the Denisovan. I mean, there's evidence of that. This is not a... So, I mean, really, if it is an intelligent design, what is happening is old parts have been used to make this car, right? So, I mean, you are going to this mechanical analogies, which I think is incorrect, really.
Can I answer that question?
Okay, go on.
Yeah. So the commonality of the organs and systems and evidence is
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the DNA of the human is from 3 fossil human remains from previous, DNA which is housed. Now, if you can refer, go and ask somebody like Professor Kamini Tennakon, she will agree with the present human. So what the thing I'm putting forward is that the present human is a mixture of these. What I'm trying to say is that, there was no intelligent designer. An intelligent designer with some intelligence would probably have designed a completely new product, Homo sapiens sapiens. It doesn't seem to be so. It's sort of a use up of old car parts, building a new car, if you were to use that mechanical analogy. So why did you do that?
I'll take that mechanical analogy perfectly. If a car company is building a new car, right? If they have got 50,000 parts, out of that, about 45,000 parts will be used on other cars, on all models. Just because they build a new car, that doesn't mean that all the parts are completely new. They use the existing workable things or systems into the new car. Out of that, about 5,000 parts will be new. So in all life and humans as well as all we use existing mechanisms. Of course, all life share things from the cells onwards.
Right.
So
okay.
we need to share things. But that doesn't mean that we have evolved. What I'm saying is the difference of between one species to another, like 40 million DNA, cannot be bridged by what Darwin is saying. You cannot be bridged by this one random mutation at a time.
Right. Okay. Now, there again comes the problem that you would face. There is evidence that Homo sapiens, our direct ancestor, and the Homo neanderthalis interbred, and hence we are a product of that. So there you have 2 species interbreeding. So, you said that, all these interspecies like the lion and the tiger would produce sterile...
artificial, yeah.
it doesn't happen, you do get that as well. So what
Yeah.
I'm saying that this creation that we have is not in any way perfect as such, and we are evolving as well. So, there come again the term evolve.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, there is evolution. I mean, if you just consider that,
I-
I have a few other examples.
I don't think humans are evolving any further. And I feel that all our systems are generally perfect. That's why I did show the gait analysis.
I would refute that very strongly for this
Right.
reason, because there are still illnesses, imperfections that keep on happening. The reason why we are not evolving, I'll put it to you, is because there is no evolutionary pressure any longer on us. But mind you, we still carry some of the aggression and the in our evolution process, we have certain defects in our psyche, society, which will, I think, I mean, a lot of people may predict this from this audience as well. We are heading towards pressing our self-destruct button. That's one. Have you got anything to say about that?
Well, as I said, I feel that humans, as well as all the other animals, are perfectly got perfect systems to live in their environments. But also on the other side, I don't think I mean, we have got 8.7 million species on Earth, but many other species have disappeared from Earth. Much more larger number of species have disappeared from Earth. So I don't think any species can claim for eternity. Even I feel that humans may disappear with this global warming and various things. Human could potentially disappear in 1,000 years time, 10,000 years time. We don't know.
So the designer won't come and
sorry,
the designer won't come and help us there.
Well, I think even as Mahendra said, the sun is also midway of the cycle, so we have got a limited span anyway for the sun. So anyway, whether we like it or not, life will come to an end based on the sun's lifespan.
Just two other points, Uditha. Your tree of life diagram, I think there's an error in that all those species that you have put down, currently in existence, they are lower down.
Yeah.
So that I think I think we might have to modify that one, because they're all there. So if you were going sort of to the roots of that evolutionary tree, you'll have to put down pictures of their ancestor. Now, you did say that you don't get these missing links. I think that is wrong. If you look at the evolution of the truth is, in the case of humans, we have been unable to find many of these missing links. But if you look at the evolution of cetaceans, the whales, right, there are quite a number of stages in which land animals, how the land animals have evolved into one particular animal which looked like hippopotamus, evolved into the present day the cetaceans, which look like fish. So
so once again, that was one of the things I said. Can you imagine one species evolving to another species just because they showed 2 or 3 intermediate stages? And that's only on the bones. They haven't shown any description of how all the other body systems change. If one species changes to another species, they had to show not only changes in the bones, but how all the body systems have changed. That is never ever discussed. That is a fundamental thing evolution has to show, because just by showing just few bones in the intermediate phases, that doesn't show evolution. You need to show how the eyes, ears, the brain, the heart, everything has changed from that animal to this animal, because there will be changes. Don't you think so?
But you
Just by few bones, it will not explain.
you can't expect the flesh and other body parts to survive in these, extinct creatures. That is the reason why you can't find it. In the same line, I mean, I'll finish with this one. You said that the ape hand evolving to the human hand.
Yeah.
Actually, it didn't happen that way. It was not apes who evolved into humans. It was a common.
Right. That's right.
It's a common
Yeah,
ancestor.
it is a common ancestor, but we don't know who the common ancestor is. We don't know. So the closest we can get is ape. I feel that the common ancestor is closest to the ape.
That
Sorry?
is significant sort of hole in your presentation. That's what I.
No, yeah. We don't know who the common ancestor is. So the closest we can. Human didn't evolve from apes. Human evolved from common ancestor, but we don't know who the common ancestor is. There's no evidence. So we don't know who the common ancestor is. So they say that there was a common ancestor, but we don't know.
Yeah.
So that's why I have used ape hand.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Uditha, we have about 12 minutes more. We'll stop it at 5 o'clock. I got 2 questions. There may be others. I'll ask my 2 questions very quickly. So there are certain phenomenon which cannot be explained by creationist ideas, but can be explained by evolution. So, example, the presence of a coccyx in a man, right? Coccyx is a vestigial tail. So, why should there be a tail or vestigial tail in a human? There is evolutionary explanation, but not by intelligent design. Body hair is another example. Humans does not need body hair, but why should we have some, a vestige of body hair, which is probably more used in apes and more, wild animals. The other one is ear muscles. So, I've seen some people who can wiggle their ears a little bit, but once again, they are not useful for humans, but they are evidence of vestigial evolutionary processes. So, how can you explain them?
So, I did mention about vestigial structures. As I said, there were 100 of 180, which has almost disappeared now. The coccyx, the muscles and tendons are attached to the coccyx. I mean, you can remove the coccyx just like appendix, but that doesn't mean that it hasn't got any functions. And body hair, human body hair, is linked to sexuality. So it may not give the same things as in apes and other animals, but human body hair is linked to sexuality. I'm not sure about the ear muscle per se. I will look into that. But many of these vestigial structures, the reasons, we have found reasons for that. There still may be 1 or 2, but in time, even I think those will be debunked, I think. I mean, the list of vestigial structures are more than that, but all have been, almost all of them have debunked. The thing is, I mean, some people mention about the recurrent laryngeal nerve. Now, they say about the recurrent laryngeal nerve without recognizing the complexity of rest of the nervous system. For example, we have got 1,000 kilometers of nerve tracks, and they complain of 2 or 3 centimeters of recurrent laryngeal nerve without recognizing the complexity of rest of it. So it is just like looking at a lake and pointing a fault in one drop of water without recognizing the rest of the lake. So many of the vestigial structures are like that. People who mention that doesn't recognize the complexity of all the other things. And even for vestigial structures, yes, for most of them, reasons have been found.
I have a second question, but I'll give a chance to Rasika or Ajahn. Who's raised the hand? Is it Raja or Rasik?
No, sorry about that.
Oh,
Look,
it's a mistake.
You correctly said that there is no alternative species that exists to challenge the humans, but I would challenge that view. There is an alternative species that has been developed by intelligent human beings, by intelligent design, and that species is called robotics. And there is an existential threat to human beings and indeed the whole world by this new species, the robotics. And there is, the human beings are trying to curb the artificial intelligence that the robotics can generate. They can regenerate themselves, learn much faster than the human beings, and so on. And human beings also have the ability to destroy ourselves with the press of a button. And those are all intelligent designs. What are your thoughts on those two?
Yeah, those are intelligent designs by the humans.
Yes.
So the thing is that if you take a knife is a good thing. I mean, we use the knife for many things, but knife also could be used to kill. So similarly, we have been given intelligence and we have been given a free will. So through our free will, unfortunately, just like the knife, we can use that our intelligence to even to create our own destruction. I agree with you. Many species have disappeared from the earth due to many natural things like environmental changes but human destruction could come from natural things or by their own products. We don't know, but still I feel that the free will given to humans is vital. It's important. Unfortunately, we can use it negatively.
Okay, probably I'll ask my last question, Uditha. I recently visited Giant's Causeway. I don't know whether you have visited Giant's Causeway. Have you?
No.
Okay, so it's worthwhile going there because many people who have been there will tell you there are huge boulders, exactly square shaped, some of them, and the sides are almost like a slate. It was, very smooth down. And there are some other boulders which are hexagonal, right? Nobody in their sane mind could believe that these kind of, huge massive boulders would have occurred due to nature. So in fact, the local people have invented this story about a giant called Makhul, who has, built these because he had to do a lot of work to make these things. So using your evidence that because we cannot believe that nature has done such causes, should I now go back to believe the giant Makhul's theory?
No, the thing is, we see some design in nature. So for snowflakes have got a lovely design, and sand dunes will create lovely different designs. But life designs are dynamic. For example, I did say that in human brain, 100,000 reactions happen every second via 50 neuropeptides. In this, designs in life are dynamic. These are not dynamic ones. Every, like snowflakes, every atom will have got a shape, and if it's repeated, it could give a bigger design, but they are not dynamic things. In life, what we see is dynamism at every level, at a cellular level and every other level. So that dynamism and what you are describing is quite different. I know in nature, like sand dunes and things like that, they can form lovely different sort of designs which are lovely to go and see. But that is different to what we see the dynamism in life.
Okay, thank you very much. 3 minutes to 5. Let's call it a day, unless there are very important questions. I don't see anybody's hands up. So shall we all show up our faces, put on the videos? Uditha, thank you very much for this lovely, thought-provoking discussion today. And I hope many people will buy the book, or at least get the electronic version and read it. And as usual, on behalf of the Sri Lankan Literary Society, I would like to thank you. Let us all, in our usual way, show our appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity, and thank you all for the dynamic discussions we had. The books are unfortunately a bit difficult to obtain on Amazon, but if you could put the ISBN number on Google, you can get it from other sources, particularly from the publishers, as Austin Macaulay publishers can get it easily. So if you're struggling to get it on Amazon, but on Amazon, the Kindle version is now available. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for participating, and thank you very much.
It is also available at Blackwell's and Waterstones.
Yeah. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.